Coming up on Super Boothers, are you dealing with any shady competitors? You are not alone. We discuss how to deal with people who seem to want to win at all costs and that are just getting under your skin. Stay tuned.
I'm loving the new backdrops from PB Backdrops. With new designs every single week, you're for sure going to have a new backdrop addiction. With floral, geometric print, theme backdrops, and even custom backdrops, they have it all. Check out their one-sided pillow cover starter packs beginning at $399. With that lower price, there's just no reason not to. Visit pbbackdrops.com for weekly specials. Hello and welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Ismail. Ryan, what do you want to talk about today?
I don't care. Today has been such a long day. Like, do you ever feel like you have those days where you're working nonstop, yet you're not really accomplishing anything?
That sounds like my life every day.
Like everyone just like needs something from you and only you.
It's a never-ending to-do list. You get some stuff done, and there's 5 more things added.
Like, I have worked on everyone else's stuff today and have not done one thing off of my to-do list.
That doesn't sound good.
No. One of the things that I have to kind of work on is to just kind of get a little reading on what my competitors are doing.
That's actually something that I have been thinking about recently. Maybe that should be the topic for our conversation.
Good for you thinking again. You just
it's very hard.
Getting so often nowadays.
So I actually heard a pretty cool podcast that I think everyone should check out. It's called Business Wars.
Really?
And yes, and so they have like different seasons where they focus on different business competitions, business wars. And the first one that I listened to was Netflix versus Blockbuster.
Really?
And yeah, it was really interesting. And we all know how that turned out, right? Netflix won, Blockbuster's gone. But to me, it was...
I'm sorry, that's the last time I used that button for a while.
I should expect that. But I found it fascinating how they were going through the back and forth, all the different battles that these competitors were doing, and like even the sneaky, shady stuff that was going on.
Oh, I love it. Tell me more.
And so it got me thinking, like, what is appropriate business competition? And, you know, this is something that we all deal with, and this is something that we see people talk about in the online groups. What's too far and what's okay? So before I start going to like little things that I picked up on those episodes, is there any general feeling that you have about business competition, about what's too far, what's not too far?
I've always, and the same thing goes for like political races. I mean, because I'm in Texas right now. We have a big election coming up, and there are other third parties that are doing things that just aren't cool. And they're not affiliated with either one. Like they're just they're Russian. No, I'm kidding. No, but so just to kind of explain a little bit more, there is a third party that somehow got, I guess, cell phone numbers and is texting users as that person, and they're not really affiliated with that particular candidate. I mean, so clearly obvious things like that aren't cool. I don't really focus on my competition, which clearly has proven to be a problem.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as saying that, but like here's one little anecdote. When Blockbuster started losing business to Netflix, and for those who don't know, Netflix started off as a DVD by mail business. So Blockbuster, as we all know, had the stores. You used to go there, you used to pick movies and take it home. Netflix came out with a DVD by mail program, and it started to.
Don't they still have it? I think they do.
I don't think they have it anymore. I think they stopped it. And there was a whole controversy around that, but they went all on streaming now. But anyways, there was a point where Blockbuster, the CEO of Blockbuster, like literally got his friends and hired people to go to Netflix's shipping centers with their DVD from Netflix and pretend that they're a customer trying to return it, just so they can go into the factory, into the warehouse, and take photos of how they organize stuff, how they ship stuff. And it was like,
I
it was
love
really
corporate
so bad that
espionage.
it was corporate espionage, where they would get the female to go in and be like, oh, I'm trying to return this. Can you help me? Oh, what's this? Oh, can you take a picture of me in front of this? My friends would love it. And it was like
Love it.
legitimate espionage
Love
at
it.
the highest level. So you love it, but is that too far as a comp? Because if you love it, then you have to love when people do it to
I
you.
love it. It's happened to me. It's absolutely it has happened to me within the last 30 days.
It's
Where
happened.
people were filling out fake review
It's
or
happened to me as well.
fake leads to get my pricing, which is just annoying. It happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
I've been there. Yeah, but this one, like it went even farther than that, where at a certain point, Blockbuster actually literally copied Netflix's website. Everything. Just changed the colors and changed the logo and made their own Blockbuster online service. So what do you think about that? I know we talked about that a lot, where
this is another thing. If you have seen even one episode of Shark Tank, and again, we had talked about this on another episode a while back about photo booth manufacturing. It is not proprietary. You absolutely can do it. I mean, whether or not this happens commonly where, I mean, even in our industry, I think it's happened with props before. I'm assuming with backdrops, where you have someone that will copy a website exactly to the T, exact same verbiage, exact same everything. They'll only change like email and some photos. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll change the photos, because even you and I have been victims of people using photos that don't belong to them.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm gonna get heated. But you know, those are just a couple anecdotes, and if you find this interesting, I would suggest checking that out. They have other seasons in Nike versus Adidas and like Southwest versus Delta. I think you'd like that, Ryan, where I think the whole thing is about how they were battling for Dallas, like who's going to take over Dallas. But the real thing that kind of gets me, the takeaway, is that Blockbuster was trying to do all these things and spying and copying, and they're gone. And the takeaway for me is that they were so focused on the competitor that they didn't focus on the customer. Yep. Netflix was focused on the customer. How can we have a better service? And they won. And I think this is something that Jeff Bezos says from Amazon. We don't worry about competition. Obviously, you know what they're doing. You're aware of them. But if you take your sight off of your customer, you lose. Yeah. So to me, that's the real lesson in competition. You can't. I go into business understanding people will be shady. People will try to knock me off. People will try to lie, cheat, and copy. It's just people being people.
No.
I can't get stressed out about people doing what they do. But I can't let that affect my mindset. I have to focus on taking care of my customers.
Whenever I first started doing weddings, I was always focused on what everyone else was doing. Back then it was called Wedding Pages, and now it eventually became the Knot. But anyways, every city would essentially put out their own publication, and we all have this where books and magazines come out that are specifically local to wherever it is you are. I would comb through those. I'm actually looking at one right now, just kind of perusing, but not going over with a fine-tooth comb like I used to. I used to focus on every tiny little detail that someone was doing and think to myself, am I not enough? Am I not doing it? What am I doing different? What am I doing wrong? This person seems like they're making so much money. And then you come to find out that they're booking maybe one thing a month, and you're booking, 4 times more than that. And they're really not a threat. I had a conversation with my friend Melissa. This is kind of going to be like like Oprah. No, like Oprah always talks about, oh, my best friend Gail.
Deja vu.
Yes, we know she's your best friend. We get it. So anyway, I can just from now on, I'm just going to call her Melissa. So Melissa I was just on the phone with her day before yesterday, and she did an open house at a museum, and she was saying how like there was this other florist that was there. Again, this is kind of like they have like a dinosaur sort of theme going on right now. So there's like gigantic fossils of a T-Rex and like all sorts of stuff. And here she comes in. She was saying how she's setting up She did her little centerpiece. She did a little lounge area. The term that she uses is just Peter Rabbit simple. She goes in there, does her thing. She sets up in like 30 minutes, probably less than. And the girls on, out of the corner of her eye are unwrapping glassware. She sets up all her stuff. She looks over and they're still unwrapping glassware. She's finished. They're still unwrapping glassware. And she's thinking about it. She goes, gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I not putting enough effort? Because Melissa comes in and set this up herself. And she's looking at this girl and she has like 4 or 5 other people helping her unwrap all this glassware. And they set up this, like, it was cute. I'm not going to say that it was worth that kind of time to set up, but it was like essentially a ceremony setup that was just like, maybe I'll post it. I don't know. It's just very intricate. And she goes, the girls were taking all these photos to post on Instagram like it's some gigantic thing. And she's like, am I doing something wrong here? And the conversation, what we kind of took away from it was, no, you're not doing anything wrong here. But what we also forget every now and then is, yes, we do great work. As event professionals, we do great work. In this day and age, it's no good if nobody else sees it. So this girl is playing the game of, who has the best Instagram. Yes, you book some events now. Will she book more than you later from, the internet? We don't know.
Yeah, I think overall,
it's healthy.
I actually like competition. Maybe that's not a popular opinion. I do think sometimes people take things too far and act shady, but it's going to happen. No matter what you or I say or what anyone says, it's going to happen. It's the nature of competition. And honestly, I don't know if I have a problem with it because, throughout history, there's all these great stories of these great rivalries. I know John Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie used to mail insults to each other to kind of have that rivalry that made them better. And I think even Mark Cuban and Donald Trump had that playful, they would mail jokes to each other. Hey, I forgot the exact things that they would do, but I'm sure we can look it up. Where they would basically, yes.
Well, I think Bill Gates and Steve Jobs
I will save the audience from sharing.
Yeah, they've said publicly that one wouldn't exist without the other.
So that to me is, if you feel threatened by a competitor and you get all flustered and angry, that's okay. But understand that doesn't mean they're going to beat you. You can control how you react, right? So I would take that as a challenge and try to get better. And if that's what really comes out of it, if your competitor makes you better, I would thank my competitor. I would say, thank you so much, because now I'm going to pummel you into the dirt, and I wouldn't have been this motivated if you weren't annoying.
See, I don't think I'm motivated by a competitor so much as I'm motivated by myself. Like, with the exception of last week's episode, I really don't think I focus as much on my competition. And I mean, truthfully, I really don't think I focus on it at all. Maybe 1% of the year where like a website or, something will cross my desk to where I will be like compelled to visit someone else's photo booth website.
I think, you know what? I would probably agree with you. I don't really pay attention that much to competitors anywhere. However, there's a little part of me that kind of likes someone starts poking me. And I do get a little bit of motivation from that, if I'm being honest. And it's interesting now, but I don't know if you follow hip hop and rap or if any listeners do. Don't forget, I'm from Brooklyn, so I have to throw this in there.
I'm Mexican. Unless it's Selena, I don't pay attention. Always Quintanilla, never Gomez. Continue.
There is this whole thing now where Eminem came out with a new album, and there's this other rapper, Machine Gun Kelly, who dissed him. And then Eminem
I saw that today in a meme.
That's a whole big thing right now in the hip hop world. And I'm sorry if people aren't rap fans, but there's a lesson in competition here, right? So Eminem is the greatest, according to some people. If you come at him, he'll destroy your career. And there's this new up-and-coming rapper named Machine Gun Kelly who had no fear and put out a song where he went after him very publicly and said some very, very bad things about him. Eminem responded, which he doesn't normally do. I actually respect the fact that Machine Gun Kelly did that because it's competition, right? So he's looking at, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to the next level? I have to go after people better than me, and hopefully people start paying attention. And it's working. Now, did he win that rap battle? I don't know. That's everyone's different opinion. But I respect the hustle. I respect the fact that he's trying to get better. So it depends on how you look at competition. So I would say take a step back. Don't be so personally offended if someone is doing shady things. Take a step back, look at the big picture, and think about how you can respond and get better.
You get blocked. That's how. Well, so I wish that I was as motivated by competition as most people are. Like I don't really like if I go to an event that I'm attending and not working and I see someone that has a photo booth, there are people that look at me that are like, Ryan, they have a photo booth. I'm like, I have one in the car. What's your point? Like it just doesn't affect me. If I go over there and someone, I take a photo or whatever and it's fine. Like I don't let things like that get to me. I just don't. I mean, there are times where I did an event for Wedding Wire a while back and, there was someone that did a photo activation there and it was cool and it was good for you. Great. Fantastic. I wish you well. I hope you sell the hell out of this. And I just don't, I've learned to kind of let that negative energy go.
Yeah. And if you're looking at it from a fear aspect, I don't think it works that well, right? Because there's plenty of business for everybody. There's millions and millions and millions of people out there looking to book photo booths. You don't have to get that territorial, right? There's enough money for everybody. But having said that, if you were a vendor and you, like you said, had a prop company and somebody else just blatantly copies your props and copies your website, I'm sure you'd feel some type of way. No matter how much you say you're not motivated by competition, you're going to feel some type of way.
Sure. I think that it's a little different whenever it's like B2B. I don't think I feel the same way when it's B2C because I think with B2B, the people and the players that are involved. So I can see how that would be a little bit more like you would feel more personally attacked if that happened.
So let me ask you this then. Let's say tomorrow we drop this episode and a listener's like, hey man, you know what? You guys like competition? We're starting our own podcast. How would you feel?
Congratulations.
Would that motivate?
No, it wouldn't.
That wouldn't motivate you?
This is episode number 78. Really? I am so sorry. I would love to see anyone try. I just.
But that to me, it sounds like they're a little bit.
Go ahead on what you think that whatever I think is.
You're saying that you're not motivated by competition, but then when I bring up a potential competitor, you're like, please bring it.
I would welcome them to try it because there's something called pod fade, which we have not had yet. And what pod fade is where you start a podcast and it's amazing. And then you start getting a little lackadaisical. Maybe we're not every week. Maybe we're every other week. Then we're once a month. Then we're once a year. Then, ta-da, it's gone. We have been, I think, the only consistent thing in our industry that at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time every single Wednesday, you will have a new episode to download.
Yeah, you're right. If you think about it in the totality, if you add up all the hours over these 78 episodes, it's probably like 10 photo booth expos. Like seriously, all the effort that goes in. So when there's a potential, and we're using this as an example for everyone else in their business, but when you have a threat or a potential competitor, you just don't get that worried because you're doing a good job. Because your focus is on the right thing. How do I get better? How do I help my customers?
This is another thing is, again, whenever I went to Podcast Movement, that I was a little bit more motivated. But that wasn't so much as competitors because, A, they're not in our space. And B, it's more of a camaraderie than it is anything else of someone that understands of what it takes to produce a podcast. Because what people don't know about this is there's a spreadsheet that we have that goes over our workflow for every single thing that we have to do for every episode. We write the title. If there is an interview, it has to be scheduled. The interviewer or interviewee rather gets several emails confirming. They get an email of, what to do with the episode whenever it comes out. We have sponsors and ads that we have to do. There's description, there's show notes, it has to be edited There is a transcript that goes for every episode that takes pretty much in real time. If we put out any content, we have to have, the time to create that content and set it up to where, you're able to download it successfully. We do an audiogram every week, and that takes time. If I do a live video on Facebook, that takes some time. So a lot of people don't know the entire, I think that for our episodes are about 30 minutes or so, a little bit less than. It takes probably about 4 or 5 hours for literally everything for one episode of Super Boothers, for sure.
Times that by 80.
And not to mention, and that's not including all the live events that we do, all the travel. I would love for someone else to relieve me for a little bit. I need a break. And that's the thing is we are not the only photo booth podcast. There are other photo booth podcasts. We are probably, I think it's safe to say, the longest running. I would say the most successful.
And the best.
But that's the thing is the effort that goes into being the best or creating the best product or the best value or whatever. I think that the more you do it, the less likely you are to be concerned with what other competitors you have. People will complain to me about, a competitor issue they're having. My response has always been and will always be, get over it. Put yourself in your own shoes and focus on your own work and put your head down and keep going. Because, just focus on your own stuff and you won't have to worry about everything else.
That's the lesson that I probably give people. But again, it's never just a clear answer, right? The answer is usually it depends, right? So it's fascinating to me that there are some people that seem to be like the competitive motivation is a big part. Like let's say the Elon Musks of the world, where in an interview he said like he would never give up. And this is on my vision board, by the way. If you guys saw the picture in the Facebook group, where someone asked him, would you ever give up? He said, I would never give up. I'd have to be dead to give up. Or there's an interview with Will Smith where he says if he's in the gym on the treadmill,
we're racing
and somebody else goes on the treadmill next to him, he will literally run until he dies. He will not stop running. Like he will have to die in order for you to run more than him. And so some people operate really well with the competitive. So I think you have to know yourself, be self-aware as to what motivates you, and try to use that to your advantage. If you are someone who's motivated by competition, it's helpful to have someone, poking you from afar, because that gives you that fire to respond and get better. I would just urge you to keep the focus on your clients and your business and don't let them distract you, because that's on the other side of it. That's what people like Michael Jordan used to do on the basketball court, where they would get in your head, where they would start like elbowing you to get your focus off the game, and then you'd lose. And to me, the real takeaway here, like the Netflix Blockbuster situation, usually the people who are shady competitors, who copy, who steal, who
That's
cheat.
good stuff.
I've had people crawling in my booth, inspecting my equipment the second I look away. Those people usually lose. So although they're bothering you and annoying you and you feel threatened, keep doing what you're doing. Chances are you'll outlast them in the end.
Well, and that's the conversation that I think I had with Melissa, just to go back with a full circle on this, is, we worry so much about, oh, well, there's these new people coming in. And, actually we talked about this. One of her goals is to, because she did NACE, she did ILEA or whatever it's called now, MPI, all these major organizations that, have their monthly meetings. And, part of being in our industry is just being visible and showing face and going to these meetings once a month and just saying, hi, my name is Ryan. I have photo booths. If you would like them, please let me know. I really believe that those type of networking things are a little bit more important in fostering those relationships than, say, a competitor is. Another thing I think is a little bit important is, whenever you, again, going back to the little Instagram thing and her kind of, setting up her little table, at the end of the day, she's confident in her product and confident in the work that what she did. versus comparing it to whatever this other vendor did. By the way, I looked at the other vendor and she's like, tell me what you think of this. I look at it and it's nothing great. And that's the thing is those people will weed themselves out. There is just something to be said for technique and experience and creativity. And I know that everyone, has their own strengths. My strength has never been props. There are some people that have absolute amazing props. They took very good care of them. Good for you. I'm not one of them. And, if we ever come down to, a bride that, she wants props and I lose her to you, great, fantastic. I'm so happy for you. That is your client. That is not my client. And it's also being comfortable with the fact of knowing that, if she wants, a green screen, you better watch out.
Yeah, I think, I wonder, I don't know, this is just me thinking out loud. Do you really think the people in McDonald's boardroom are up at night worried about Wendy's? I think what you're getting at, Ryan, is there's always going to be competition. You have to know where you're different. So if they want to do the props and you don't want to do the props, or you have the green screen and they don't have the green screen, you have to know where you stand and what your differentiation is. And as long as you have that, you can't worry too much about the competition because they're doing their own thing while you're doing your own thing. But I would suggest everyone check out that Business Wars podcast. Let me know what you think. I thought it was great. I kind of binge listened to them while driving. And I look forward to checking out future seasons.
Next week on Super Boothers, I actually started with the event industry doing wedding planning, and then I stopped doing that altogether and moved solely to products and doing event production. So I did flowers, linens, rentals, and photo booth came later. But yeah, I would absolutely just put it on my event order. Yes, we're doing it. Yes, we're taking care of it. No big deal. Because that, at the time, was what a client really wanted. They didn't want to go to 10 different providers. They'd rather go to one.